Roberta's possible arrest. Okay, lot to unpack here, and we are going to try to do our best job at presenting the Cliff Notes. In essence, there was the time in the days after Gabby Petito's remains were found. Stephen Bertolino, the lawyer for Chris and Roberta Laundrie and Brian Laundrie, representing the Laundries, called a press conference with the intent of, feeding the appetite of the public, of the media, the public that was literally on their front lawn at the time. Remember now, in September 2021, you have a mob of people on that street in Northport, Florida, okay, with signs demanding that the Laundries speak and give information on where Brian was. Bertolino wants to do and talks with his clients. They plan a press conference. Now, according to Bertolino's sworn depositions, he says that the FBI agent in New York, in essence, told him, you don't want to do that. And I'm summarizing here, but it's all in the report on WFLA.com, the exact quotes.
I have it if you want me to read it.
Yeah, would you please?
So Mr. Bertolino says that I got a call from the FBI and they indicated to me, and I won't say no uncertain terms, but they indicated to me in terms that were clear that I should not have the press conference. I had my suspicions as to why, and they indicated that if I went forward with the press conference, that they were going to arrest Roberta and put her through the full perp walk, including but not limited to statements in front of the camera and everything else. Look, I read that when I read it the first time.
I want your unadulterated response to that.
I respect the FBI, but I just think that's a lot of bluster.
You think it's a bluff?
Come on. You're going to, it's a movie is what it is. That happens in movies. I've never seen that happen in anything in real life. Anywhere that you're going to parade her in front of it and say, hey, media, shout questions at her. So what?
I worked in Mobile, Alabama for 5 years. Perp walks were part of the routine. That was just, was culture.
I get it. But a perp walk with a threat? And what are you charging her with? Exactly.
So that comes in later.
And one more quick point. I don't like when attorneys say, I'm working with an attorney right now in a very high profile case, hoping to get somebody high profile crime on camera. And I think we're going to do it. But again, I understand when attorneys don't want us to do that. I totally understand it. I don't like it. Why are I'll ask you, why is he holding a press conference, a news conference? Why would he hold a news conference? And people demanding that they talk, there's something we call a constitution, and they have no reason to talk other than incriminating themselves, which, we're now seeing that they have possibly incriminated themselves by the fact that they said, in a civil case that is, they say that he said she's gone, Gabby's gone. Guess what? That could lose you that lawsuit. Just that statement.
The entire reason.
It is
for this lawsuit, by the way. Hold on 1 second. I want to make the point very, very, very clear to our audience. The reason the lawsuit exists, if the Laundries had just remained silent and never issued a statement, there's no grounds for the lawsuit that we are currently talking about going to trial in May. The reason the lawsuit exists is because the Petito and Schmidt families are alleging that through their statement on September 14th, where they hoped that Gabby and her family would be reunited,
That's right.
that Gabby would be found, that qualifies for intentional infliction of emotional distress. If the Laundries had just remained silent and never released a statement, never said a word through their attorney, there's no grounds for a lawsuit.
I will say this, though.
Yeah.
Intentional in a courthouse, in a courtroom, is different than intentional. Like, I could throw this remote at you. Right. Intent has elements to it.
And that's why
So intentional, were they intentionally trying? I mean, I think that may be a tough thing to prove. I don't know.
Now, Walt and I are not attorneys.
That's right.
Emily Baker, Peter Tragos, the lawyer shout out. Emily D. Baker, shout out. They did great live streams talking about the legalities of the lawsuit, and it was fascinating to watch and listen to the two of them break this down. But okay, back to the FBI. The FBI is basically saying do not, according to Bertolino's sworn testimony or sworn deposition, the FBI is communicating to Bertolino, you don't want to hold this press conference. If you do, we could move forward with an arrest of Roberta. And then, okay, you asked the question, what are the grounds? What would you charge Roberta Laundrie with? You're not charging her with the murder
and
of
why
Gabby
don't
Petito.
you want them to hold why don't you want them to hold a press conference? Why does the FBI not? Are they?
Question for the FBI.
Do they? At that point, they have not found the body. Correct. 14th. No.
No. The body has no. The 14th is when the statement was released. The possible press conference, I believe, was either on the 21st or 22nd.
But the body has not been found yet.
No. The body. This is 2 days after the body was found.
Okay.
And the day after her remains identified.
Why would the FBI care? First, two questions I'd like you to answer because you've covered this case so well and you know it. First of all, why does Mr. Bertolino need or want to hold a news conference? And secondly, why would the FBI be upset about a news conference when the body has already been found? Do they think, what do you think?
The second question is fascinating to me. Why would the FBI not want a Laundrie press conference?
Right.
That to me is very, very interesting.
How does it hurt their case?
The first,
because that's all it should be about, right? It should be about hurting their investigation, hampering their investigation. And why would you not want them to go public? The FBI does not ever go public during, well, I don't know about ever, but their line is that we can neither confirm nor deny that no matter what you ask them. So I don't know whether that's why they want to button this up that way, but it's an interesting point. Why do they care whether or not whether Bertolino holds a news conference with his clients?
Okay. I'm trying to bring up here on document cam. I'm trying to bring up that point in time, but okay. So I'm gonna read this here. This is from Bertolino. As far as the charge, all he would tell me was that he believed it was something electronic. It was something that they believed Roberta had done with electronics. And the only thing that we could come up with was that Roberta accompanied Brian to the cell phone store, end quote. So that's, remember the burner phone that we had talked about?
So she's hiding evidence she's helping him hide evidence? She's helping him get away?
Aiding in some capacity,
right.
by helping him
I remember
get a phone.
that. Yeah,
but
I have that
as
in your
Bertolino
article.
says later on, if it's criminal to help your kid buy a phone, then there's going to be millions of parents across the country that are going to be. Yeah.
That's ignoring, I think, a very important point about this, though. That statement's interesting to me, but come on, it's apples and oranges.
The answer to your first question, I think, is here on page 79 of Bertolino's deposition. So Gabby's remains were discovered on the 20th, I believe. The 19th, I misspoke, on the 19th. And obviously on the 20th, the press was having many thoughts and conversations, and there was a lot of misinformation out there with respect to the Laundries, and I wanted to clear it up. So that's his reasoning. I wanted to clear it up. I spoke to Chris and Roberta about this, and I said, we need to set forth what happened, at least from their perspective. And I scheduled a press conference. I believe it was for the 21st. I got a call from the FBI, and they indicated to me, and I won't say no uncertain terms, but they indicated to me in terms that were clear that I should not have the press conference. I had my suspicions as to why. They indicated that if they went forward with the press conference, that they were going to arrest Roberta and put her through a full perp walk, including but not limited to statements in front of the camera and everything else.
I know what he means by that, but right, let's just back that up. We need to set the record straight. Why do you need to set the record straight, Mr. Bertolino?
Right.
You don't need to do anything.
And why would the FBI not want them to speak?
It's a great, I don't know.
If we could go.
The FBI part is almost more fascinating to me because I don't get, first of all, we could do a poll on just attorneys, and I would think it would be 80-20, 90-10 that would say, you don't need to put your clients in front of the camera. Why would you do that? Why would you ever do that?
Bertolino isn't a criminal attorney.
Right. Okay. Well, does he want?
Let me be clear. He's not a criminal attorney.
I mean,
he is acting in the capacity of a criminal attorney.
Do you know why a lot of attorneys want to put their clients in front of the camera?
For good publicity, good press.
Absolutely. It's free advertising. And the ones that are honest will tell you that. And they use us. And then I've had bosses saying to me, they're using you. Well, or they have an axe to grind. I'm the grinder. That's what we do. We're going to let them grind the axe. We're going to make sure we follow our rules ethically and factually. But at the same time, yeah, they use us and they feed it. They're great sources. They'll tell us stuff. And sometimes I've had countless stories where I'll say so-and-so would not comment on the record, but so-and-so a lot of times is at least the person who gives me the string to pull on the story. But in this case, there's nothing, I do not see any advantage for them to hold that news conference. That's why the FBI part is more fascinating. Why did you not want them to hold the news conference?
For 1 second, can you imagine when this story is at its international peak? Brian Laundrie's gone. He's gone.
Yeah.
Gabby's remains just found. It is officially a manhunt for Brian Laundrie.
Right.
One that is no longer. I mean, there were stuff coming in for him getting on a boat, going to Mexico or going to some
Canada. I had people calling me from Canada who were complete. And it was referenced in a story. Completely convinced
that it was him.
They saw him in Canada, and then we looked into how the border's not buttoned up there, that you could get across the border up there. All that stuff wasn't true.
Can you imagine at that time when you're getting those messages?
Right.
If A, there had been a press conference on the front lawn of that home, or B, if there was, or maybe it was Berta, it's never specified where the press conference would have taken place, I don't think. But if the FBI had arrested Roberta, gone into her home, and she came out in handcuffs with the international press lining the street there in Northport, can you imagine the level, the tier that this story goes into at that point? Now, it never happened. Let me be clear. Roberta Laundrie was never arrested. Chris and Roberta were never arrested or faced any charges of any kind. The FBI concluded their investigation. They closed it in January of 2022, and without any charge. The only charge that was ever filed was against Brian Laundrie for illegal use of Gabby's card, and that was it.
That's right. Do you think, though?
Yeah.
There's no way the FBI acknowledges that this happened.
No way.
There's no way, because
in my yeah.
And I would also say that that the perp walk part is so dramatic. We'll put her in front of a perp walk.
But there's no way. Hold on a second, though. Just time out for 1 second. There's no way around it. If you arrest Roberta, if you have a warrant for her arrest for something connected to, let's say Bertolino's, hunch is right, and that it was an arrest for aiding Brian and getting his burner phone,
trying to hide evidence,
could
have been electronic in that Brian gave her his phone.
Yeah, we're again now pretend time. We're in that territory now. Okay, right. I want to make it clear. You have to go in with the arrest warrant. She's in the home there in Northport with her husband. She's going to come out in handcuffs. That automatically is a perp walk. It's not like people think a perp walk is like this formal parade of a suspect in handcuffs. No, just her being taken out of the home and put into a police cruiser. That's a perp walk.
Right. But you could also then get her booked, talk to the sheriff's office or the police station and go, okay, what's the longest walk? What door can we leave? Again, if you want to put your sound effect on there.
Okay.
What's the longest walk we could walk her into the building? Okay. We could, we'll park we will pretend we can't park near the building, and we're going to walk her. I don't know how big the parking lot is. We're going to walk her the entire length of the parking lot where it's public property and the media can do their thing and hammer her with questions. Those questions rarely get answered. But still, a lot of times for the reporter, it's about the question, not the answer.
I had friends that were cops in Alabama. Again, I spent 5 years in Alabama, which was so fascinating for me as a journalist because I grew up in New York, and New York and Alabama are completely different places.
They might be exact opposites.
They might. You could make that argument, I am sure. So Alabama culture to me was fascinating, and I do miss my days in Mobile, great town. But I remember I had friends that were cops there, and they would tell me, I had friends that did cops that did perp walks, and they would tell me, JB, sometimes if it's, depending on the perp walk, I'll just go really slow.
Absolutely.
I will, now I want you to picture, audience, like two cops on each arm of a suspect in handcuffs walking from point A to point B for a perp walk, and the officer's going, baby steps slow, sometimes intentionally, just to give us as members of the media opportunities to ask more questions and maybe, just maybe, get more answers. And
that's a big maybe. Nobody, you know, you're not, well, the
smart, a little inside baseball,
but yeah, you're right. And it's usually the question. And again, I would go back to this point as to, okay, this is ironic that he's threatening a perp walk. Think about this. Mm-hmm. Is it G or Gee? Brian Gee? The FBI agent?
I keep mixing it up. I think it's Brian Gee.
He's allegedly, purportedly, threatening a perp walk to allow the media to ask questions so that Bertolino won't allow the media to ask questions.
It's so bizarre, isn't it?
It doesn't make sense. And again, why do you put somebody who's not an attorney, and really you put some attorneys out in front of the camera who aren't used to it, they can make mistakes. But when they make a mistake, it's different than your client making some sort of thing that is misspeaking about some material fact. That's dangerous. That is a dangerous thing to do when your client's not, who's trained. You and I would probably be pretty good at it, I think. Who's trained to talk in front of the media off the cuff?
No, but that's why they print out a statement and they'll read it word for word.
Okay, well, I got that. So reading a statement's different than but
you can call a press conference, read a statement.
No, that's true. That could have been. You're right.
That might have been.
That is
safer.
safer.
And then just say, we are taking no questions. But then at that point, if you're going to do that, why not just then release the statement to the media like you have over the past several weeks? Why show face?
There's no reason for it. I don't see the reason. And again, the FBI is threatening, hey, you'd better not do that, or you better not allow her to answer questions to the media, or we're going to make her answer questions to the media. Isn't that what this threat is?
Right.
Let
me be clear, because we have to move on to other stuff. Let me be clear. The FBI hasn't commented on Bertolino's accusations
but they never comment.
Of a potential, we are going to arrest Roberta conversation.
We're going to arrest Roberta, and again, this is Bertolino. This is not the agent. This is hearsay. We're going to arrest Roberta and put her through a full perp walk, including but not limited to statements in front of the camera and everything else. Okay, and then we should add, if you allow her to go in front of the media and make statements in front of the media. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. The threat is the same. It's a threat to stop something that they're threatening to do.